Welcome back. Today I'd like to analyze my last 3 rapid games from Lichess. Once again, I have 3 built up because I haven't made a video for the last couple of days. I would also like to apologize if you hear any background noises. I have a laundry machine running right through the wall in front of me here. Usually I try to time these videos when that's not happening, but today this is how it worked out, so I hope you will bear with me in case you do hear odd clunking noises or whatever. In the first game from 3 nights ago, I've already looked at the lines because I didn't want to waste time, you watching me try to figure out what it was. And here, I thought I was in trouble over here, and I thought I had to add some defense. I don't know, though. This pawn is defended. I guess I was worried that they were about to bring this rook over, their D rook, and then they were just going to come barreling down through here. And I thought I had time to get my king up here to G7 and then bring a rook over here to help defend on that side. But apparently I was ahead here 2.5. if I would have just played b5, and I'm trying to figure out why. It says if I did that, the line expects them to play queen to e2, but I don't think they would have. I think they would have brought the other rook over. And I understand what b5, I think, is trying to do. It's trying to get at that a pawn, which I have currently blockaded. And, but I mean, that pawn's defended, but if they do, let's just say that they do what I expected, which is to bring the rook over to the h file. Then I take this pawn, and then they take down here on h7, and then what? I check them with my new a pawn, and they just move over in front of it? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why b5 is so great here, because even though none of their suggested moves are rook to h3, well, it says queen to h3 too. I'm fairly confident that my opponent was going to play rook to h3 at this point, because they had just brought it up the last time that they had a chance. Okay, now it says I should take this pawn. Okay, and they're going to take it, and then I'm going to take this pawn, pinning the rook to the king. Now they're going to play queen to h3, which aims to checkmate me, but I can get out of that just by playing h5. And I'm way ahead. I mean, I am about to, I assume, win the rook for a bishop, but I'm not up on material now. I will be at that point, and then I guess we could trade off the queens. It says they'd play king to c2 at this point, and then I would not take the rook. It's having a hard time deciding whether I should take the rook with my queen or my bishop. But it says my best move, minus 4.5, is to take this pawn. Well, let's say I did that. Now what are they going to play? Their best move is rook to c7. Wait. Okay, it's changed its mind. It says b4 now. But if they played b4, I would just take it. Okay. I don't know what my opponent would have done, but if I had played here, I probably wouldn't have found some of those other moves, like taking the c3 pawn. I don't get that. But it says right here, I could just go ahead and take that pawn now. I don't have to play b5 first. I would still be ahead if I took this pawn now, and they took, and then I would take this pawn again with this pin, but now I don't have the pawn on b5. And now their best move is bishop to d2, which would, I guess, help protect the rook and point at my queen, or queen to f3, which would protect the rook. Interestingly, it doesn't say what would happen after queen to f3. That line is blank. Okay, that's not helpful. I guess I would have to actually move the piece to see what would happen next there, or queen to h3, which we saw earlier. Well, let's say they played bishop to d2 to line this up, and then my best move would be rook to f8 or e5. Well, I wouldn't find either one of those. Okay. Well, since I did follow the one line out, the b5 line, I mean, I see how I think I would be ahead after a little bit, but what I don't understand is why after I pin the rook to the king, I wouldn't take it, after losing my rook here, because they would be up a rook for a pawn at that point, I think. Oh, wait, no, I'm up 3 points of material now. So then they would be up 1 point of material. Then we would be even after I took the pawn, but then I wouldn't want to go up the exchange. Yeah, see, I don't understand that. I would, even if I found the correct moves on the next 2 turns, I would still end up not, messing up here. Okay. So I played this. My opponent's absolute best move here is queen to h3, even though I was certain that they were going to put this rook on h3. That's their third best move, but their best move is to put their queen over there, which they did. And I told you the reason I played king to g7 was so I could get a rook over here to defend this. But now that they have a queen there, they don't have to come all the way down to check me. They can come to h3 and check me. Or they can start with the bishop since my knight's over here, right? So I do understand why this is a mistake, although that's my second best move. But my best move is h6, and wait, what? That I don't understand at all, because that doesn't stop them from being able to come here. And it says that they wouldn't, but why wouldn't they? I have to know. Because I wouldn't take it. I would just move my king over one. Oh, but see, I would have taken it and then I would have lost. But if I just moved king to f7, then it's fine. Everything is okay. And their best move is g4, and then I'm going to take their bishop. Oh, it's changed its mind. Now it says that their best move is queen to f3. Okay. Okay, well, I would not have found, giving away a pawn for no reason as the best move here. I played this, which now we're at even, but only if they play g4. Well, they did play g4. I'm not sure I would have found that. I think if I was my opponent, I would have checked with the bishop, but that's not even listed. Why is that so bad? Because I would just get out of the way. Oh, but see, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have taken. Oh, well, it says taking is fine too. Okay, I would have taken. Then they would have checked with their queen, and then I would just get out of the way. And I'm ahead. But that's if I had been playing white. Black would be ahead. But I wasn't playing white. My opponent figured out that g4 was the best move. They played that. They played that in 3 seconds. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, back to the hypothesis. If I had been playing white and I was considering this, the bishop check here, and I said that, and a person sitting next to me who was much better at chess said, nope, that's not it. Find a different move. I might have eventually found g4, but I would not have found it in 3 seconds. That's impressive. Oh, I just checked my opponent's profile. In Bullet and Blitz, they're about 500 and 600 points higher than I am in those ratings. So I have no idea why their rapid rating is similar to mine. If they're rated 500, 600 points in Bullet and Blitz higher than me. Yeah, so I was not playing a peer here. I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the next game. Yeah, sorry. When I started realizing every single one of those, they didn't play what I would expect them to play, and they didn't play what I would have found at that, at those moments. I started to suspect I was playing somebody much better than me, and sure enough, when I checked their profile, it was way out of my league. But that person was a couple of steps ahead of me, major, full steps. So I'm not going to learn anything from that game. I've gone on to the game from the night before last, and just for fun, I checked this person's profile, and it says that their blitz rating is 500 points higher than mine. But I got a draw in this one. This is the final position of the game. According to the graph, I have a pretty big lead here. This thing says plus 3.2, and I couldn't help but see the line, but I had to play rook to e2 to maintain that. I wonder if that's what these lines say. Yeah, rook to e2. I also would have been fine with queen to f4 or h4. Well, number one, I didn't know I was ahead, and number two, I wasn't sure what to do, and I thought, hey, I could maybe aim at that pawn. That's why I played queen to e3, was to aim at that pawn, because I had no idea what else to do. But if I had gone queen to f4, which doesn't aim at any pawns, I would have been fine. Or if I had just brought this rook up. Now, I think I do understand that, because that keeps them from being able to check me here. I don't know that it keeps them from being able to threaten my rook, though. It says if I played that, they would then play a6, and then I would just... What? Okay. So if I had found rook to e2, now Stockfish isn't sure that a6 is their best move. It says queen to d8 is their best move. Well, let's say that they played that. Now I can play queen to e3. Wait, what's the difference? That's my best move now. But in this position, queen to e3 is really bad. It's an inaccuracy at best, and loses half of my advantage. But that's because they can check queen to c2. Okay, well, they did check on queen to c2, and I had to block with my queen for some reason, but I blocked with my rook instead. And that allows them to take the pawn. Wait, they could have taken the pawn even if I had blocked with my queen. Sorry. If I had blocked with my queen, they still would have taken the pawn. But now I'm protecting the other one. And now I can play rook to d1, which isn't threatening mate because their king would get out. So how would I find rook to d1? Okay, I don't know. Well, I blocked the check with this, and they took the pawn, which I think in this case I would have taken the pawn too. That one seems obvious. But that explains why I should have played this on my previous turn before putting my queen here, I guess, because this way I lost a pawn. And I'm going to lose that one. Now I need to play queen to e5 to protect that pawn. Okay, this one I get. Or rook to b2 to protect that pawn. I understand both of those, so I do understand why this is a mistake. Because they can pick off b5 now. And they did. And now we're even. But we weren't even for the rest of the game. Because as you can see here, my next move was a blunder. I played rook to f2. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, I do. Because I wanted my king to be able to protect it. I wanted my rook to be off of this diagonal. And once my rook's protected by the king, then I thought I could get that pawn. So I played that, but that's a huge blunder if my opponent takes the f-pawn, which they did. So now they're a pawn ahead. Well, the whole reason I put my rook here was so I could get that pawn. But I have to play rook to d2 now. Or rook to c2. Okay, well, I took that pawn. All right, so now my opponent is even further ahead, but only if they play queen to d3, which is here, which I guess threatens the check over on h3. Yeah, well, that's what it says would happen. Okay, so they should have played queen to d3 or queen to c6 check. Oh, queen to c6, that would have guarded this pawn and checked me. I understand that. And I would have just moved up, and then they would have come over here to protect their bishop, but left that pawn alone. But I wouldn't have taken it for this, I guess, for the same reason I didn't take this. And I don't understand that reason, but there's a reason. All right, but instead they played here, which is a mistake. They're still ahead, only if I play king to g3. Well, I did, because the bishop's undefended, so I went toward it. Now they're supposed to play queen to h5 to defend the bishop, but they'd move the bishop back there, which allows me to play queen to e3. But I didn't, I checked, and they got out of check. Now I have to play queen to e5. I did, because I was hoping that they would trade with me. You know, I thought I might be ahead if they traded with me, but they didn't. They checked me here, and I went toward the bishop again. And they blundered by going there. I didn't know it was a blunder. I thought they were about to win, because this is checkmate. But apparently, I'm way ahead because I can just take the bishop. Okay, well, I do understand that one. This one's a little easier to understand. I could have just taken the bishop. It was for free, but I thought they were about to checkmate me, and I thought, I don't know how much time I spent. We'll find out in a second, but I thought, how do I get out of that? I can't move. Their queen's cutting off this whole thing. I can't take the bishop because for some reason I didn't see that my queen could take the bishop. And if I move back, I don't think that helps because that's still checkmate when they put their queen on g4. How can I protect g4? I thought, oh, I can come down here, but then their bishop takes my queen. I can come up here to protect g4, but then their pawn takes my queen. I finally realized I could play h3 to protect g4, and that's my second best move, but it's a huge blunder because I should have just taken the bishop. So I thought this was brilliant. I thought it was my only move to avoid checkmate. And they need to play queen to g1. But I guess here they realized I could have just taken their bishop, so they ran away with the bishop. Now we're even again. And we were even for a long time. We were even until move 65. This is still a drawn position. And I think the reason that it's drawn is because they can keep blocking. Bishop to f5 is one of the moves that keeps us drawn here. And I can't keep checking, and they might be able to push some of these pawns, but I should be able to stop them, I guess is the idea. I actually thought I was losing here, even though we're even on material. I thought these two pawns were better than my rook, but they're not apparently. They can play king to f4, they can play king to g6, they can block with the bishop. There might be other moves that are just as good, I don't know. But they got out of check over there, and I was pretty sure at the time that that was a blunder, because I can pin the bishop to the king and they can't defend it. Until they played this, and I thought, oh, now I'm in check, so I can't take the bishop. I have to, I guess, get in front of the pawn. It says I'm still way ahead. I did my absolute best move. They got out of the pins, and I took the bishop. So I have a mating sequence now. You already saw the ending position, so you know I didn't checkmate them. But how do I get there? Mate in 21. Stockfish can see it. Probably other engines can too. Probably any titled player, and maybe anybody, 200 points higher than me or whatever. Maybe my opponent here, because they're rated 500 points higher than me in other time controls. Maybe they saw it here too, and they just decided to play it out. I didn't see it. They came forward. My best move is to check them here on e4, but I checked them on g6. And they have to come toward me this way, but they went the other way, which gives me a mate in 9. Rook to g8 is my best move because I want to keep the rook lined up with this, I'm pretty sure, and I don't want it to be taken by their king, so I dropped back there. They came toward it. My best move is to get in front of this h-pawn because it's undefended now, and if the other pawn advances, I can take it. So I got in front of that pawn. They came forward to defend it, and I have multiple moves here that continue this mating sequence, like rook to g4, where it would be protected by my king, and they would have to move away from this rear pawn, and I would take it. And then no matter what they did on the next turn, I would take this pawn. I didn't know that others were just as good, like rook to g7 or king to g2. I wouldn't have thought of that. But in hindsight, this seems pretty obvious. But I did that instead. And then that's the ending position of the game. So yeah, that's a little embarrassing. And why didn't I see this? Well, for one thing, I was starting to get low on time. None of the other moves make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to play king to g2. It doesn't make sense to me to play rook to g7. Right now, looking at the position, it makes sense to me to play rook to g4. That only leaves them two legal moves, either pushing this pawn, where I'll take with my rook, or moving their king away from their h-pawn, in which case I would take with my king, and then get the other one. And I know how to checkmate with just a rook. What I didn't know how to do was get rid of these pawns, and in the heat of the moment, I decided I was done. This had already been nearly a 20-minute game. I guess getting close to 18 minutes at this point. So I was done, and I just took, and we were done. Okay. Well, again, next time I will figure that out, I'm pretty sure. And in last night's game, I resigned after 17 moves because I can't do anything about that. I'm going to lose my queen on the next turn, no matter what I do. Just out of curiosity, I did check this opponent's profile too. They don't have any ratings in other time controls. Apparently they only play rapid, but they made some mistakes too. We were both even out until here, which is move 10. And here, what I played was c5, and I'm pretty sure that's what I've done in the past in the Caro-Kann defense, because if I'm not mistaken, my front c-pawn has already traded off here on, for their d4 square, and then this was my b-pawn, which took their light-squared bishop when it took my knight. So now this is the second c-pawn, and I'm pretty sure the whole idea of having the second c-pawn is to keep going for that. But I had something better, and maybe it was getting this knight out to, no, not there, maybe it was getting this knight out to come to f5 to aim at that pawn, because I don't know what else it could have been if it wasn't c5, but c5 was a blunder that gave my opponent the advantage. It was queen to a6. Queen to a6. All right, well, let's pretend that didn't happen because I have no idea what that does. The next best move was a5, and the third best move was also a5. I'm no computer expert, but those second and third lines look identical to me. I'm also not a chess expert, by the way. Did I not mention that at the beginning? I don't think that's supposed to happen. I think it's supposed to suggest a different move as my third best move. All right, well, I wasn't going to find any of those because I don't know what they do. Okay, I do know what queen to a6, one thing it would do is prevent them from castling immediately, but why is this a blunder? Why is this a blunder? It's because they can check on a4 and I have to move the king. Okay, that's why. Got it. See, that sometimes you have to play the next move. I need to prevent them from checking here, and this pawn currently does that. I'm not sure what a5 does, but I do know what this allowed, and that allowed them to check on a4. How long did my opponent spend on that? 8 seconds. Okay, so they took their time and they found that move. Good for them. Okay, well, that explains queen to a6. That keeps them from checking over here. So I played that. They checked. I had to move my king, and I need to move it to king to d8. I thought of that because I thought, what if I move it up, then my bishop can't see that pawn anymore. So I moved over, and now they need to take here. My opponent didn't know that, so they castled. Now I should play c4. All right, sorry about that. I got a phone call that I had to take, so I'm lost now. Where was I? Okay, my opponent has castled, and now I'm supposed to play c4. Oh, it's done it again. It says my second best move is to take the pawn, and my third best move is to take the pawn. All right. Looks like the other chess website is not the only one that needs to fix some things. This one, that's not good. That's not good stockfish design there. Yeah, those two lines are identical, just like we saw in the previous turn. I played knight to e7 because I thought it was a good idea. I thought I needed to come up here to attack that pawn from behind, but I could have just taken it. But then they would have taken back with their... Oh no, that if I took it, that would have been counted as a mistake. c4 is the only move that would not have been counted as a mistake, and they would have taken it with... What? Okay. Well, we've reached the point once again where either Stockfish is messing with me, or that's really good for some reason, that if I had found c4, it would be really good for them to take it and lose their knight for a pawn. And that's what it says. All right, well, I'm trying to keep a happy face on this because I'm really incredibly frustrated right now. If any of you have any idea why those are the best moves, or why I'm behind right now. It says my opponent's at +1, and that's if I play my best move of c4. Well, I feel like I just wasted 30 minutes, which was all the time that I had for chess development today, but if I learned something, it's hidden to me right now, but maybe it'll percolate in my brain, and I tried to say percolate and circulate at the same time. That's why it came out sounding funny, but anyway, maybe something here will help me eventually. I know that thoughts work that way sometimes, but right now it looks like I got nothing from this. So thank you. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for spending your time here, and I'll see you next time.